Have you ever wondered why our African stories, those tales we grew up hearing, paint men as heroes, warriors, and slayers of beasts, while women are often left waiting by the fire, weeping, or carrying burdens silently? These stories are not just tales, they are guides, mirrors of the world our ancestors imagined for us. Yet, underneath it all, these old stories whisper, shaping our beliefs, our choices, and the destinies we think are natural. Tonight, we begin a journey, not just through the city, but through time, through stories, through the lives of those who dared to question them. My name is Ngozi. This is my story, how I faced destiny.
Ngozi, a young university student, navigates not just Lagos traffic, but the weight of centuries old tales. One evening after school, Ngozi sits in a crowded Danfo bus as she scrolls through folk tales on her phone. One question gnaws at her: why are women always destined to wait while men face the beasts? Around her, Lagos hums, voices, gossip, laughter, and argument. She reads the stories and frowns. Here is a man slaying a monster, while a woman stands by, saved but silent. How many generations of girls were told to wait, to watch, to follow, to stay behind? She wonders if stories shape her courage or cage it. Perhaps, she thinks, the answer lies not just in reading, but in imagining, in questioning, in rewriting what has always been accepted. That evening at home in Surulere, Mama Ifeoma, Ngozi's grandmother and keeper of oral tradition, recounts an old tale. Okechukwu, the brave hunter, slays the leopard, while his wife Adaeze waits at home. Ngozi listens, her heart tight, wondering why women never step forward to face the beast. She questions, she wonders, she feels the unfairness of fate pressing on her young shoulders. Her grandmother smiles gently, almost shrugging. That is how the stories go, my child. But Ngozi feels it in her bones. This is not right. This is not the only way destiny should be told. Sometimes the past whispers, but the future dares to roar. The next day at school, in the bustling university cafeteria, the conversation turns to the old tales. Emeka, confident and charming, argues that the stories teach courage and strength. Kioma, on the other hand, bold and fiery, counters that the stories cage women, teaching them to suffer silently and wait. Ngozi listens, her eyes darting around the room, watching classmates nod, some laughing, some frowning. The clash of perspectives is more than an argument. It is the pulse of culture itself, beating in the chest of the young and questioning. And in that moment, Ngozi begins to see her path, not as a rebel, but as a storyteller, a challenger, a spark. That night after the debate, sleep became uneasy for Ngozi. In her dreams, Ngozi becomes Adaeze, standing in the shadowed forest while Okichukwu battles a monstrous leopard. But tonight, she does not wait. She picks up a spear, hands trembling, stepping forward into danger. Clumsy at first, but determined, she moves, striking alongside the hunter, her courage messy, real, defiant. The forest roars and the beast lunges. The dream teaches her bravery is not the property of one gender. Every heart can wield it. Suddenly, Ngozi wakes, sweat on her forehead, the ceiling fan spinning above her. Outside, Lagos never sleeps. The generators hum, children laugh, distant music drifts through the open window. She stares at the ceiling, whispers to herself, why must fate be different for us? The weight of centuries of stories presses on her young shoulders, and yet she feels a spark, a quiet conviction that perhaps fate is not written in stone. Perhaps it is ink waiting for a new hand. The next day, Ngozi and her classmate Kioma stand on a busy Lagos street corner. As they watch boys play hero games, swinging sticks like swords, while girls nearby cradle toy babies and sing lullabies. The cycle repeats, even without the stories being read aloud. Ngozi watches, fire in her eyes, and whispers to Kioma, "We must tell the stories differently." The city noise swirls around them, the chatter, honking, footsteps, and she feels the weight of change beginning. But this is not a small rebellion, it is the start of a movement. That evening, Ngozi sneaks into a storytelling gathering at the cultural center in Yaba. The elders sit in agbadas, women in gel, their faces lined with memory and authority. Baba Adewale, griot-like and commanding, tells the story of Obina, who defeats a river spirit while his wife waits on the shore. Ngozi fidgets, frustration simmering beneath her calm exterior. She feels the pulse of tradition and the need for something more, a voice that speaks not just for the past, but for what is possible. When the story ends, Ngozi raises her hand. "But why is the wife always waiting?" she asks, her voice steady. "Why can't she fight beside him?" The hall falls silent. Elders exchange shocked glances. Some whisper disapproval. Baba Adewale chuckles softly, dismissing her words. "Because that's not how destiny is written, my child." But in that moment, Ngozi knows this is the challenge she was waiting for. The moment her voice must become more than a whisper. Back in her room, Ngozi lights a small candle and opens the folktale book. Suddenly, she is pulled into a dreamlike world. Forests, rivers, firelight dancing across the water. She becomes Neka, a fisherwoman whose husband sails to confront the sea goddess. Instead of waiting, she dives into the water, surrounded by glowing fish and eerie spirits. Fear and courage clash within her. The goddess rises, eyes molten fire, whispering, "You cannot change what has already been written." But Neka refuses to sink into silence. In the dream, Ngozi argues fiercely with the goddess. If men can rewrite their fate through bravery, then so can women. The spirits laugh, echoing like drums in the dark. The goddess responds, "Every story has an altar. Are you ready to become one?" Suddenly, Ngozi sees herself holding a massive inkwell dripping with fire instead of ink. Hesitation grips her, but also the thrill of possibility. She realizes that writing her stories may change more than tales, it may change destiny itself. Again, Ngozi wakes gasping. The candle has burned to a stub. Lagos roars back into her senses. Okadas zooming, hawkers shouting. She grabs a notebook and begins to scribble frantically, drawing new versions of old folktales. Women are warriors, leaders, hunters. They no longer wait by the fire. Her hands shake. The dream's fire quill has followed her into reality. In the morning, Ngozi recorded the story and shared it with Kioma. At the university, Kioma reads Ngozi's stories aloud to a small crowd of students. Women face lions, outsmart trickster spirits, and save villages. Some cheer, others scoff, calling it un-African and against tradition. The tension is thick, a tug of war between old and new, youth and age, courage and caution. The room vibrates with possibilities. Could these stories be rewritten? Could destiny itself bend toward fairness? Students murmured, social tension build up. Word spreads quickly. Lagos buzzes with arguments over Ngozi's tales. Bus stops, barber shops, food stalls. At last, our daughters can dream bigger, some say. Others mutter, "This girl is lost. She disrespects our father's ways." The city becomes a living debate, a reflection of the generational clash over what stories teach and who gets to write them. The old ways meet the new, and the streets themselves hum with the possibility of change. In the end, Ngozi was invited to defend her stories at a university town hall meeting. Students chant, lecturers try to maintain order, elders sit sternly in front. Emeka argues for tradition, calling her work dangerous. Kioma fires back. Storytelling must grow. Finally, Ngozi stands, her voice trembling but firm. If our stories cannot hold space for everyone's faith, then what kind of future are we building? The hall erupts, divided yet alive. Her words leave ripples, small but undeniable. She added, stories are seeds. When planted, they shape our children. Our choices are destinies. Look there, girls and boys standing side by side, acting out in Ngozi's tales, facing imaginary beasts together. Perhaps the river changes its course after all. And perhaps, just perhaps, we can write a future where everyone fights alongside each other. And so, Ngozi's journey reminds us that stories are more than just tales passed down through generations. They are mirrors of who we are and seeds of who we can become. The courage to question, to rewrite, and to expand these stories shows us that destiny is not fixed. It is shaped by those brave enough to step forward. Whether male or female, young or old, we all have a role in shaping the narratives that guide the future. What did you think of Ngozi's journey? Who was your favorite character? What lessons did this story teach you about courage, equality, and the power of storytelling? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales that challenge, inspire, and entertain. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, the stories we tell today shape the heroes of tomorrow.